now you're working on, or you're just in the middle of sort of, I guess, promoting, waving your new film, which is super intense. And wow, I mean, that's a big responsibility to produce and to and you've managed to get, of course, I mentioned in the intro, sort of Ralph Ineson to do it, who's remarkable in it. Wow, I mean, he makes it. You're very lucky to, of course, have an amazing cast. So let's talk about waving.
So waving again is another thing that grew from Tame and Olivia. So someone contacted me, they'd seen my work, someone called Steve Bromwell, and he said that he'd written a script, and then he came back a little bit later and said that now had a director on board. He sent me the script, and it was unbelievable. It was for a short film about a man dealing with really severe intrusive thoughts, the type of intrusive thoughts that aren't seen in the public scope. They're very rarely, they are seen a bit more in the OCD communities online, but they're just unheard of for anything kind of mainstream. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
If we get this made, this would be, there won't be anyone sitting there going, oh, I'm so OCD,
No, exactly. No, you will not be throwing that word around.
No. So they were amazing. And so I came on, I mean, my official title is executive producer. I helped them get some funding from people in the OCD community as well. Just an amazing team of people, but I did everything. I mean, I did absolutely, I just helped with everything.
As you would, it's a passion project, right?
Oh yeah, but it's the same for all of us, and I mean, people took wage cuts. The core group of us didn't take any pay whatsoever. We're funding going to film festivals ourselves. There's any money we did get went straight into the film and to produce the visuals, because what it does is it represents intrusive thought, like internal OCD. So the stuff that you can't see. You can't see any hand washing in this, or anything that you see so often on normal TV. But we had this it's just been absolutely incredible. So the boys, and this is Rolf Nyhus, who's our director, and Steve Bromwell, the writer, although they share both of those titles, they work so collaboratively on it. They spoke to Ralph Ineson, who I've never seen. I mean, this is not my field, but I've never seen anyone able to act the way that he does.
I mean, it's Oscar worthy, right? Because his level of intensity, and it's super powerful. I mean, honestly, and that explains why you're winning all these awards. Of course, it's a no-brainer, right?
It's everything. It's absolutely everything. I mean, I think now he's up for another award this weekend, and I think that's
really
him for total. But I think actually we've had something like 30 nominations and
wild,
something like 15 awards. Most
of
them for cinematography, they're for script writing. We won the overall best short. The best story I've got about it is that we went over to Austin, again, completely self-financed. I fancied, I've never had OCD, and I was like, right, I'm going to go out there. I spent a week of going out by myself and doing stuff. I loved it. And we were nominated for an international award, which was basically, out of 6 films from places that, weren't America. And we actually won the overall best thing, which was out of 3,000 submissions. And
oh my gosh.
Ridiculous. It was really out of everything that had been submitted.
Not surprising though. Not surprising.
No. And so, basically.
I mean, what an achievement. I mean, let's just stand for a second and talk about, wow. I mean, you must feel incredibly proud of this, as do all of you, I'm sure. And then the fact, coupled with the fact that you now are going to, I guess, expose it or share it or educate so many that have no idea that it's not about just the switching of the lights again. And like you said, it's amazing. What an achievement.
Thank you. It had to be very surreal and very different, because there was no other way we could show the intrusive thoughts, you know, and that is all credit to Steve's writing and Rolfin's, you know, vision and stuff. And it's amazing. And do you know what I love about it as well? It's like we've really worked hard to work with the OCD community. So the majority of the funding came from a company called Biohaven, who are creating what they hope to be the first ever meds for OCD. I mean, how amazing is that? There are people out there actually going for proper press. We've got Ethan Smith, who is a producer but an OCD advocate in America for the International OCD Foundation. He's massive. He's the other executive producer.
Amazing.
Girl in Red, she's a Norwegian singer. She's massive now. She has OCD. She gave us one of her songs for the credits. So it's like, it wasn't just
a total, it's a total OCD like, community collaboration.
Yeah,
exactly. I love that.
It was important for us to do that, because we didn't want to work with anyone who didn't understand OCD, because we didn't want them putting demands on it or clipping what we wanted to show.
You know, because it's authentic. Otherwise you're going to get, well, basically a half-baked job, right? And so you couldn't really have done it any other way, which is why, and that's coming across, right? Lengths and bounds, that it's totally like a whole community of the OC.
I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased it comes across like that, you know. And you know, we it's a massive responsibility, you know.
Huge.
We want to keep people safe. So, you know, every time we show it to, you know, every time it's at a film festival, it has to come with something written about, you know, like a safeguarding thing, but not to cover us, to make sure that, because it is such a brutal depiction of OCD or what it is can be. So we need to make sure that people are safe, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And one of the questions, you know, well, the first thing that came to my mind is, well, how did it feel for you having to sort of repeatedly, you're producing it. So I'm sure the number of times you've had to re-see it and see it and see it. How do you deal with that? I mean, it's because it's really heavy. It's heavy. So how do you manage, you know, an OCD, producing an OCD to that graphic extent? That's pretty intense.
I think Steve and I have both struggled with this, because obviously he wrote about his experiences for the film. So, I mean, sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's really not so good. I mean, the first time I walked into this, it's kind of set in this massive abandoned, the intrusive thoughts anyway, set in this massive abandoned kind of old RAF base, and it's got intrusive thoughts scrawled all over the wall. And when I walked in there, it was like entering into my own head, and it was like someone literally punched me in the stomach. I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I remember Steve said exactly the same thing. And the pair of us, there's a picture of us both just on the beach together on the second day of shooting, just like kind of with our arms around each other. I think we were so overwhelmed by it all.
Oh my gosh.
At the same time, just so massively proud. So like the early bits, so we were doing the different edits, every edit hit differently, and that was hard. You know, you're kind of like, and it can be difficult sometimes, even like film festivals, because every time someone sees it, you tend to get people come up and say, oh my goodness, I'm so glad this has happened, you know, and you hear their stories and you just think we've still got a way to go.
For sure.
But there is another side of that, and that is, you know, I've helped to create a film, or we've created a film that nearly obliterated most of us involved. Even if, you know, we've all been touched by everything in it, you know, either OCD or mental illness. People have all been affected by them. There wasn't a person on that set who doesn't, well, there isn't a person on the planet who hasn't been touched by either them or knowing someone, you know. So we but it also, you know, the amazing side, how amazing that every single time, you know, I get emails saying, I saw it, I cried my eyes out, I couldn't even come up to you at the end because I was crying my eyes out, and this is going to change everything for me, you know. And
wow.
And also, you know, you see the film 150 times, it stops meaning anything, you know. You just sit there like,
wow. Well, I hope so. At one point it needed to not mean anything, just to maintain your sort of sanity, because it's not a joke. I mean, it's a really heavy subject that you're dealing with, and you know, when you're going through that yourself or have been through that, it's really difficult to watch over and over and over again. Oh my God, hats off to you all. So I mean, what is your sort of, well, I mean, I kind of know the answer, but what is the, you know, your objective or the vision, or what would you like to see happen with this kind of film? And what is the future? Because I know we're set to do a movie in a very different way, right? We're going to do something like the total opposite. Yeah. But so what's your hope for it?
I basically, one of the main reasons I got on board was because I want to get this out there, and I want to get it free, and I want to get it available to as many people as possible, to educate as many people as possible. So the very short answer is, at the moment, that is our end goal. We don't know the journey to get us there. So it would have been had we just gone through the film festival relatively unnoticed, like the film festival run, it would have just come out soon, you know, because we're coming to the end of the film festival run. But because it's won quite a lot of awards, and because it's garnering more and more attention, you know, there's the chance that we might be able to actually get it somewhere where loads of people could see it, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it ever hit cinemas, but I mean, it would definitely, you know, we could try and get it somewhere on a big platform where loads of people can see it. And then as soon as that's done, it will just go on YouTube.
Yeah,
we know loads of people who are like university professors or people who are training midwives and all that, you know, and it's 20 minutes. You can sit them down, and it really does explain how severe OCD is. You know, it's not a representation of everybody's OCD. It is
no, for sure. But it's, I mean, it's a creative and graphic representation of I guess the extreme, or it, you know, it epitomizes, or it captures, you know, what it is. You're showing people that's it. I mean, that is it. At its worst case, or at its, you know, its core, that's basically what it is, which is a massive educational you know, part of the whole movie, right? It is like a slap in the face, and oh my gosh, I had no idea. And so, you know,
designed to get people to take it seriously. It's designed to get people to take, I mean, it is a true story, but it's one that has not been represented enough in the public, you know, in public facing kind of productions and stuff. So it's needed. It's needed. You can go on to show the less severe afterwards or before or whatever. You just need to make sure waving's in there. You know, it just
But you know, this is it. Basically, this is what it is. That's what it's about. And I mean, an incredible. And I am certain this is going to be just this, you know, the first of many, I would imagine, amazing projects like this. So, what are you working on, or what are you continuing to work on? You know, following this.
I'm up to loads and loads of bits at the moment. It's absolutely it's full on. So it's there's another production that's coming out at some point. It's a series. I think it got delayed a little bit, but that's about OCD too. And there were some really exciting bits coming out from that. That sounds amazing. We're just starting to hear about, you know, possible actors and stuff like that. But it's very early days. I am working a lot with OCD Action, and we are doing a lot of work looking at things for young people and stuff like that, working on that. I'm part of loads of little bits and bobs, so apps that are being developed by the university. I tend to work with different universities and the NHS to come up with different ways of supporting people, because we all know that waiting lists are very, very long. So we're trying to look at ways that people can be helped without having to have a one-to-one appointment. I'm still in pushing on with my Tame and Olivia stuff. It doesn't get anywhere near as much love as it used to, but my main focus is young people now. That's what I really I think all those years, the challenges young people are facing now. I mean, I'm a primary school teacher, so I'm trying to think about ways that I can work on children's well-being, or trying to just do something to help our young people, because I am worried. I'm worried. I know you've spoken about that as well, haven't you?
I mean, for sure, that's absolutely, and that's, you know, central to the focus of why I do talk about, well, I did sort of start talking about it, because, you know, I guess the sooner that you can impact and allow them to understand that there's that space, right? And that they're, you know, because I think from OCD's perspective, you always sort of think that you're the only one who has it, or initially when you think, or you try to hide it to accommodate others, right? Because you sort of undermine it, or you make excuses for yourself so that you don't have to kind of, so it's for me, it's about, you know, be OCD and be proud, right? And then manage it and use that energy for the good, right? Because certainly from my perspective, what's kept me is pouring all of that into, I always find that when it's quieter, it's a quieter time for me. That's when OCD just has a field day, right? But so that's why, you know, I tend to keep so active, and I continue to, you know, do 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 things like you, because that's what helps me, right? Is that activity constantly. And so trying to get youth to understand that and pour their energy, you know, because it's so difficult now, Catherine, because they kind of don't do half the things that they need to do, right? They're just, everything depends on scrolling.
Yes.
sitting and I mean, so you're not out there, you're not actively doing. It's not just the mental, it's also physical activity. All of that takes your time and helps you sort of recover. But so that's for me, you know, one of the key things, why the youth, because it's got to be, it's for me, it's got to be both physical and mental,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because together that's where you become really powerful. But yeah, no, incredible. So talk to me about the advice that you'd like to share.
I think I think it's really, everyone has their own, you know, journey with OCD, but I think it's really important that people just know that someone else's journey doesn't have to be theirs or isn't theirs, you know, and that every single person, just like our conditions are different and they rely on different factors, you know, different things make us better. Some days you could ask me and I go, yes, I'm so confident in who I am as a person now that probably wouldn't have happened without OCD. And
Probably
so,
not.
you know what, I'll just suck it up. But then there's other days when I think absolutely not. I'd rather be someone wandering around. All right, I won't be doing all of this stuff, but I'd rather not have experienced all those years of not knowing, you know. So I think everyone has a different view on their own experiences. Everyone has a different idea on what works for them. And I think it's just really important for people to kind of take what works from different people, you know, try things, explore things and stuff like that, you know, just make sure that if something's not working, you try something new, really. And I think as well that, you know, if you'd have said to me when I was really, really poorly that actually I had a pretty amazing brain and that, you know, I could do incredible things, if you said that, or if I said that to someone, I would expect them to be quite cross with me if they were really, really poorly. But then it's also that you're not always going to be really, really poorly, you know, and at some point you will get to the point where you start to recognize those things about you. You know, if someone had turned around to me and said, oh my goodness, you're capable of creating this character, doing this thing, helping with this film, I would have been like, go away, that is so unbelievably out of reach for me. How dare you add pressure to me like that? You know, I've got enough dealing with what I have. But it happens, you know. So I mean, have hope is always a bit of a trope, you know, but and what lots of people say, but I think just always know that it won't always be like this.
For sure.
It won't always be like this. It might go on for a day, it might go for a week, it might sadly go on for a year, 2 years, you know. At some point it gives you a break, you know, at some point you will have a breakthrough, you know, and to just kind of hold on for that moment. And also, you know, with things that are quite specialist like OCD, I only say specialist in that, you know, people don't really know about it properly yet, so it's not like, you know, just I'd say to be careful where you got your information from online. That would be a massive one for me, especially we were talking about, you know, young people now get a lot of information from that, and more people are talking about OCD than ever, and that's amazing. But there is a slight downside to that in that some people are talking about it incorrectly. Some people are offering therapy when they're not therapists and charging money, charging a lot of money. We've had a lot of problems with that in the OCD community. So it's kind of just being a little bit careful about where you get your information from online. I mean, the OCD Action charity is incredible.
Wow.
Absolutely incredible. And I know there is a massive amount of work going on for young people at the moment. Everyone. It's a tiny charity, you know, it's a tiny charity. There's only so much we can do at once, but it
so make sure you go to the right sources.
Make sure you go to the right sources. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I guess support is a massive one. They always say that, but it is very true. I mean, you know, having that support, friends, family, or being in that space where you're comfortable to be you. I think it's so important, you know. I mean, because that's the only time it's gonna help you, right? Is if you're not afraid to be who you are and be candid and open and, you know, express. And that's always the issue with someone who does have OCD, is that confidence to actually really honestly talk about how you feel and what you're experiencing. It takes a lot for that to open up. And so to have that support system, whoever that may be, is incredibly important, because that's, you know, and to know that you're okay. And it, like you said, you know, for me, I have to always think it's a very positive trait as much as it hurts. But I'm always thinking, well, if I didn't have it, I wouldn't have done what I did or achieved what
Yes,
I've
yeah,
done or met the people that I've done or be able to, run multiple things at the same time at 10
of
times the
course.
speed. I definitely, I would not have been able to do that. So it's always, I guess there's two sides to a coin, and you have to but I would not have been able to do it without the support system as well.
Of course, of course. And support system looks different for everyone. When I was
Yeah.
really, really poorly, I mean, I just lost my parents. My husband was looking after a newborn. Support isn't always having a massive loving family, because we know that sadly a lot of people don't
A lot
have
of
that.
people don't. Yeah.
No, but I mean, it can always be, like, again, that's where the charities come in. There is an amazing OCD community online. I mean, it's particularly amazing on Instagram at the moment. It's very positive. There's a growing link
Amazing.
to it now. And I think it's just about, just those little things. You only need one person you connect with. It doesn't need thousands.
Before we sign off, I want you to inspire and motivate and empower our audience with some key words from yourself, Catherine. What would they be?
I think the main one would be patience. I know we've spoken a lot about the fact that we don't necessarily have patience. I think we need to practice that. It's a skill that we can develop, just like a muscle at the gym. I think we need to learn to be patient with ourselves, patient with other people, patient that if the first thing we try doesn't work, that we keep trying different things. It's overused, but kindness. We are horrible to ourselves. A lot of people with OCD are horrible to ourselves, and a lot of people with some kind of mental health condition are horrible to ourselves. And to show ourselves that kindness and that compassion can change absolutely everything. And again, that's a skill. They sound like keywords and buzzwords, but you can practice that. You can Google how to build compassion and come up with loads of therapy notes on it. So you can sit there and you can practice. I used to have to write little love letters to myself.
Lovely.
Little love letters. Just they were based on nothing, but it helped me. So patience, kindness, compassion, and the last one will probably have to be creativity. You may not feel it now. You may feel that that's out of reach, but I promise you it's not. When the clouds start to clear a little bit, in whatever way they do for you, just remember that you're like this amazing person. You wouldn't have OCD if you weren't kind and compassionate and worried about other people,
and amazing,
wanting to keep people safe, and the way that you can get that love and that care out, one great way is creativity, and you've got it as a big power,
so for sure.
Just hold on. If you can't figure it out, just know that you will.
Amazing, Catherine. On that note, it was fantastic. Fantastic speaking to you. I loved it, and I'm sure it's going to be, part one of many parts, right? This is only the beginning. So. Yeah,
I really hope so. Thank you so much for having it on. I mean, this is the third time we've spoken now, and I've loved everyone.
Thank you. I can't wait for the future and to, see you win so many more awards, so many. I mean, this is truly, truly the beginning, and thank you so much for being with me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.